sharing with you in this video 3 secrets to creating your dreams and goals faster. And the first secret that I want to share with you in this video is really to understand the difference between the pain that comes from discipline and commitment versus the pain that comes from being a victim, the pain that comes from regret, and the pain that comes from attachment to comfort. I really want to make this distinction clear because I really believe that if we can differentiate the pain that comes from these two things, what we can start to do is begin to almost weirdly enough choose the pain that comes into our life at a more conscious level. Because why feel like life is just throwing challenges at you if you can consciously choose the challenges for yourself and take more accountability and then also responsibility for how your life is playing out. Now, it's not to become a controlling maniac, to feel like you can control every little thing in your life. Like, for example, you can't control really anything that happens in the external world. Now, there's things that you can do in your life to then give you a higher probability of sort of making things happen in the external world. You can have influence on the external world, but ultimately, at the essence, there's nothing that you can control in the external world. So again, for example, you cannot really control how much money hits your bank account per month. Like, you really can't. You might think like, no, that's not true. I have a job and I have security and I know exactly how much money I'm gonna make per month. Like, that might be true. That might be true, but like ultimately, you know, your employer could shut down or wherever you're getting your money, like whether you are self-employed, whether you work for an employer, like ultimately speaking, you don't control the entity putting money in your bank account. You have zero control over that. What you have control over is you following through with the agreement that you have with said entity, with the employer or whoever's paying you money or whatever the case is, right? You can control the actions that you take. You can control you showing up. You can control your discipline, but you really cannot control the external world whatsoever. And so when you can come to this realization, it becomes a powerful awakening to start to realize that why not just choose your pain consciously? Why not, like, if you're anyway going to feel pain, like if you just go through enough life experience, you start to see that it's not bad. It's not bad. And I'm not trying to sound like it's like, oh, I've been through enough life experience. And it's like, it's not like that. It's just like, truthfully, I've come to the realization that the truth of the matter here is that I've come to see that pain is just going to happen. And that's not a bad thing. That's not negative. That's not to be cynical. That's not to be upset. It's just to see that actually there's a beautiful thing that can happen when you realize this, is that you start to turn the pain into your life into action towards a higher vision and what you prefer to see happen in your life. And then so this is what I believe the essence of energy transmutation or healing is really about. Like, to become a healer in your own life is to take all your pain, is to take all your suffering, and then really just see that why not become disciplined instead? Why not just be a person of excellence and commitment and high level of worthiness and become a person where people respect you and they trust you? Like, how do you even come to this? You come to this by choosing your discipline consciously and then, of course, actually doing it. But to have the drive to do it is to have, really, in my experience, an awareness that you prefer the pain that comes from consciously choosing your actions rather than the pain that might come from feeling upset about something or feeling negative about something. Like, instead of choosing to be a victim and be upset about why things are happening, you say, what discipline can I do here, or how can I be to have a solution come to me? Or instead of later in your life feeling the pain of regret, where you feel unhappy because you didn't take all the action that you wanted to take, which is going to be a feeling, just a feeling of pain. Same, just, you know, you can feel happy or you can feel sad. Both are all just feelings, right? But then in the version where you commit consciously to what you want, at least you're getting what you, so to speak, want at the external level, or a higher probability. At least, you can't control the external world, but at least you put yourself in a position where you have a higher probability of, quote unquote, getting or achieving the things that you want in the external world, or seeing what you prefer. You're seeing your preference sort of life. And then lastly, again, if you're attached to feeling comfortable, if you're very comfortable, like, haven't you ever noticed that if you're too comfortable in your life, it becomes very uncomfortable? Like, haven't you ever noticed that? Like, to me, that's a really good realization, because what you start to realize is that if you become so comfortable and so complacent, and you don't want to do anything of, put any sort of discomfort or challenge into your life, that becomes very challenging in of itself. It becomes very painful to do that. It becomes very negative. And it's almost like sometimes putting yourself in a quote unquote uncomfortable position can sort of make you actually paradoxically and ironically be the easier option and make you feel more comfortable, because you get to such a high level of easiness and comfort that it becomes so ridiculously easy that it becomes challenging. And again, you want some contrast, and then you want discomfort. So all of this chaos that, it's like, well, this is all crazy. This is so much information. It's like, how do I understand all of this? It's like, I can understand that. This is why I believe we need to transcend the ego, transcend the lower self, come to a place of what we can call the higher self, where comfort and discomfort and chaos and negativity and all this stuff, it becomes where you become less fazed by it. You become less involved in it. You're still just as conscious, if not, I would even challenge, more conscious than before when you come from this place, but you simply are not involved in it anymore. You don't have a high level of involvement in the chaos that the ego creates. So the second thing that I want to share with you in this video, the second secret to creating your dreams and goals faster, is really to understand that your thoughts become more powerful when you have more purity behind the way that you show up. So your thoughts really have more power when you become more pure. That's just the truth of the situation. So if you want things in your life to happen quote unquote faster, if you want things to happen in a much easier fashion, or in other terms, maybe a more efficient fashion, which is going to, as a result, quote, possibly make it faster, the best thing that you can do is to understand that every single thing that you think about will have more power if you come from a place of purity. And so what do I mean by purity? I mean, going back to the concept that we talked about earlier, is to understand that you don't want to be allowing the lower self to dictate every single decision that you make in your life. Now, I do, again, as I shared all of my videos, highly invite and encourage you to really take control of your lower self, so to speak. So fix your money problems, manage your money in a responsible way. Make sure that you're on good terms with every single relationship in your life. Forgive anybody in your life that has caused you pain. Forgive yourself for any pain. Fix your finances, fix your physical health, fix your living situation. Make sure that everything at the physical level is taken care of. And then once that is the case, I invite and encourage you to start to see that if you want to then amplify what you desire, not just what you need. And of course, what you need is not to be dishonored, but to also look at what is your truest desire, whether it's a need, even if it's a need, however you want to look at it. What is the truest thing that you want in your life right now? Understand that if you come from consciousness, if you come from purity, if you don't let your lower self run the show completely, and you come from a higher place, understand that anything that you want associated with that will have more power behind it. You'll in turn, in my experience, get what you desire in a much faster way, or you'll get something better, and you'll get the essence of the desire manifested in something extremely similar, or you realize you don't even want it anymore at all, and you find much more happiness and peace just within yourself or in another situation. So all of this is much easier when you prioritize the purity in your life, how pure you are. And what that really means is noticing your emotional reactions, noticing when you're emotionally involved in something that is not benefiting you and the people around you, noticing when you're losing your ability to control your attention. That's really powerful, because I want you to also become conscious and possibly realize as you're watching this video or looking back in your life in hindsight, that anytime that you've ever noticed that how unconscious you were or how much you lost yourself in a situation, it's like, oh my God, that wasn't me. notice that that in of itself is a realization right there, and that's you no longer being emotionally involved in that moment. You're no longer being emotionally reactive. So to become conscious that your ego is controlling you is your ego no longer controlling you. So this is why I always say that 90% of this process comes to just simply being aware. Awareness is the key here. So if we want to bring a practical technique that you can apply in your life to become more pure, it's simply to come from a space of awareness and spaciousness rather than just being attached to every single thought that comes in your life and flying with that, running with your thoughts. Why just run on the first thought that pops into your mind? Why not take a little bit of time, a little bit of space to reconnect with yourself? Sounds airy-fairy, sounds a little bit too spiritual for some people, I can understand, but really understand that to find a solution requires space. If you want to be a powerful leader, it requires space. It requires spaciousness. It requires independent thinking. Independent thinking is not going to happen if your mind has zero capacity to produce good ideas. And so how do you become a person that produces good ideas, that produces powerful ideas? You need to value the state that you were coming from and the purity in terms of the way that you were doing what you're doing. And so the final thing that I want to share with you in this video, in terms of the third secret to creating your dreams and goals faster, is really to understand the realization and to accept the fact that no one is coming to save you. Okay, you have to care about the truth. You have to care about it. So really, this is to understand that when you're playing a victim, or you're upset about something, or life is throwing a challenge at you that maybe you believe is unfair, or this shouldn't be happening to me, or why is this happening, right? All of these types of thoughts, if that thinking is helping you, then so be it. But if it's not and it's creating resistance, why do these thoughts happen? It's really I believe a big part of it is the belief where you think that something out there is gonna create happiness for you. Something out there is going to come save you. It's like, this magical moment is going to happen where everything just fixes itself, right? This one perfect day, or this one perfect situation, or this magical, mystical moment, this one visualization you have. It's like, yeah, when this happens, then I'm going to be happy. And it's like, I want to make it very clear that's never going to make you quote unquote happy. You might feel happiness when you manifest this vision into existence. But remember that if you're not even connected to the essence behind who you really are, you're losing the depth of the present moment while you're creating what you want. Because remember, if you get too involved in what you're creating, you lose the peace behind it. You lose the true happiness and true essence behind it. So what you want to do is start to understand that when you're being a victim in your life, I can take accountability and look back at my own life and see that anytime I've ever been a victim, it's when I had an underlying belief that somebody or something is going to come save me and make me happy, complete me. Something out there is going to complete me, some situation, some visualization, maybe it's like these things are going to make me happy. And it's like the truth that I had to come to is that none of these things are going to make me happy. What I had to realize is that nothing at the form level is ever going to make me happy. True abundance doesn't come from achievements at the form level. And it sounds so cliche. It's like, oh yeah, that's amazing. That's so true. It's like, of course, people feel this way when they hear stuff like this because there's truth behind it. Why is it that some quotes in humanity just go viral and every single human being believes it and knows it at some level and they resonate with it? Why does this happen? I believe that this happens because there's truth behind these quotes. There's truth behind these ideas. And then so that's something that is true regardless of opinion, regardless of ideas, regardless of emotions. It's just true, and it is true, period. And so how do we come to this realization? How do we realize this? It's, well, again, open yourself to the possibility that, is there any beliefs in your mind where you have this sort of idea that something is going to be magical and then one day save you? And you might be thinking, maybe, but what's the alternative? What are you inviting me to do here? Well, the alternative is to realize that peace, first of all, comes from the truth of the abundance and the realization and the consciousness of who you are in this present moment. That's just the first thing that's going to need to be realized if you want to be truly happy and truly content in your life, beyond comfort and discomfort, is to see the truth of who you are in this present moment, and to see that the abundance of this present moment exists only in the now, and it has only existed in the now, not yesterday and not in the future, because the present moment is the only moment that exists, and every answer, every resource, everything that you would ever need exists in this present moment. And the feeling of peace comes not from controlling your feelings and what's happening in the external, but more consciousness of the present moment. And then so once you realize this, the second part that I believe this to, which is, we're still focused on the third secret, but the second part to that process of creating your goals and your dreams is really to understand that then it's about seeing that it's the process of becoming who it is that you actually want to be while you're creating your goals. So think about it like this. Whatever it is that you want to create in your life, whatever you believe is going to make you happy, don't just imagine the one end result that you're going to get that's going to make you happy. Here's a powerful technique. Imagine every single day what you have to do for the next, however much time that you need to do, whether it's months, weeks, days, years, whatever it is. Imagine you taking action towards it every single day. And if that doesn't make you happy, if that doesn't make you excited, then you're not focused on what you want to do. That's not the correct path for you. The correct path would be whatever you imagine yourself doing every single day. And if that excites you, like even if you feel upset in the morning and you feel unhappy in the morning and you don't want to do it and you feel drained and you feel tired, but you feel excited to do it anyway because you know that you want to rise above your emotions, you know you're on the right path because it's exciting for you to rise above your pain. That's definitely you being in alignment with your higher self and what it is that you want to be creating in your life. But if it's making you feel more of a victim and more upset and more unhappy, wouldn't it be obvious to trust in your emotional guidance system to see that it's not making you feel happy? What we've been conditioned to believe is to ignore our guidance and to ignore our emotional guidance system, and really to, in other terms, to remove all the airy-fairy spiritual concepts, to ignore how you feel, which is a huge problem. And we need to understand that if you want to create your dreams and goals, you have to understand that you are the only person that is going to make you feel happy. You are the only person that is going to make you feel peace. Nobody is going to complete you. No money is going to complete you. No situation out there is going to complete you. The only thing that's ever going to make you happy ultimately is consciousness of your true nature and who you actually are. And then to take that realization and truth and to apply it into every single thing that you do in your life, and to share that with as many people as possible in whatever way that works for you. Not that you're going to be explicitly telling people what it is that you're doing or even sharing consciousness concepts like me in this video. You might just be doing art. You could just be sitting in a park bench doing nothing. But still, if you're happy with what you're doing and you realize that your peace comes from within you, you've already won, because now you're not going to be focused on controlling how much money hits your bank account. You're not going to be controlling what results you're getting in your life. You're going to be controlling you taking action on the things that you know you need to take action on every single day to put yourself in the highest probability of getting the result. And you're not going to be focused on just what you're doing either, robotically doing things based on some recipe that you heard online or heard in a video. You're going to be doing what resonates for you and your heart and your consciousness. You're going to take those ideas, you're going to take those concepts, you're going to take that pain that you've experienced in the past, the issues that you experienced, the negativity and the problems, and you're going to turn it into something better, because you understand that energy transmutation comes from taking action towards something, holding a vision in your mind towards something, even though you might feel pain and discomfort, and then turning it into reality. That's what I believe we came here to do, is to turn our thoughts and our visions into reality. But really, there has to be a certain level of empowerment that you reach where you're no longer a victim of your circumstances and a victim of your emotions and a victim of what is happening to you. This is the only way, I believe, to really create what you want. And that if you embody that, that's going to be a secret that you know that many don't. Many don't. Many believe and are stuck in a program of thinking that something is going to save them. somebody's going to come save them. But that's still a codependent programming in their mind where they're always looking and they're attached to things out there. That's the attachment. That's the ego attachment. So they're looking for a relationship to be happy. They're looking for money to be happy. And then they think like, oh, once I win the lottery and once I get this job, then I'm going to be happy. And it's like they're stuck in a loop, but it's like it's never enough. And it's okay, really, because I also believe paradoxically that life is an infinite, endless, universe of desire and creation. And that's not bad. But the question is, how conscious are you while you're creating? Are you creating unconsciously, just from your lower self, just from who you think you are, or are you connected to divine intelligence? Are you connected to your true nature? Are you being a victim, or are you being an empowered person, helping others to realize that they don't need to be victims as well? Not necessarily explicitly, but are you leading by example? Because if you want to stop seeing people be victims in their life, you have to be the change that you want to see in the world. You have to take the actions that you would want to see from others, even when they're not doing it. Even when somebody throws hate at you, they throw negativity at you, they throw challenges at you, you need to look at that and say, I'm greater than this, and I will not match this energy in this scenario. You have to be greater than your own negativity and other people's negativity. You have to look at somebody's victim mentality and say that I'm not going to be a part of this. I'm not going to engage in this. And why? Because you don't engage in your own victim mentality. You know that if you don't want to be a victim and you don't want to be a loser, why would you want to surround yourself with other people that do want to be a victim and do want to be losers in their life? So it's better that if you want to be a winner, you want to catch other people being winners as well and surround yourself with them and spend time with them. And so understand that in this type of relationship, in these type of interactions, you're not looking for something to save you. You're not looking for a situation or a job or a circumstance or some perfect moment or some result, some goal to save you. You're becoming happy with who you are now. You're in full self-acceptance of who you are now. And then from that space, you're creating, not because you necessarily have to, even though you do have survival needs, you also start to understand that you can create what you want. So really, it's about aligning what you want, with almost like, think about like what life would want from you. What does life want from you? What's just obviously your path, And you think like, oh, it's not obvious sometimes, but it's like, I believe like moment to moment, if you really become present, you know exactly what action you need to take right now to be what you want to be. The consciousness and the intelligence within you absolutely knows. You know exactly what you need to do to achieve every single thing that you need in your life, at a health level, at a financial level, at a relationship level, whatever it is that you want, you know what you have to do. The question is, do you have enough courage and fearlessness and commitment and discipline to follow through and be the person that you know you have to be to get the results that you want? Because everybody wants the result and the output, but they never want to focus on who they need to be to get it. And then they imagine themselves being who they need to be to get it. And then they don't like that. And then they keep going back to being a victim and then thinking, okay, I'm going to go back to just these mystical fantasies. And then this one day, this moment will come make me feel happy. But it's all just, you're not dreaming in a wise way. It's good to create your dreams and your goals. But if you're doing so in a way where you're just being something that you believe you want to be because you read it in the book, but you're miserable, that's not your actual dream. That's your conditioning in your lower self corrupting you, corrupting your true essence. So the solution here, I believe, again, a powerful technique is to have awareness behind what you're doing and notice how naturally this purifies the way that you show up in your life. Notice how naturally when you become conscious of how much of a victim you are, you cannot refuse it anymore. See, a victim is only able to perpetuate being a victim if they're not conscious that they're doing it, because there's no consciousness, there's no willingness to understand. You might ask that person here, are you willing to understand right now that you're being a victim? And they're going to say no. They'll literally tell you no, and yet you are trying to convince them. So the key here is to understand that you can't control people's decisions. What you can do is not be a victim in your own life again and be the change that you want to see in the world. So when we come from this place, we naturally heal our own essence and our own life and who we have to be. And then we sort of shine this consciousness onto the world simply through our action and how we're doing what we're doing. This is what I believe the true essence of healing is really about, and the true essence of creating is actually about. And if you want to tap into the highest levels of creativity in your life, it's going to be simply by connecting to your higher self rather than the person that you believe you are and the conditioning of who you've been the last however long in your life that you've been alive, and believing that that is all you are. We want to rise above our conditioning, rise above our thoughts, rise above our feelings, rise above our emotions, and reconnect to the truth. And I believe that that's going to be what naturally leads you to the path that you know you have to take to create what it is that you actually want to create.